In a small neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, 15-year-old Ayana Reed stood behind the counter of her grandmother's bodega. Her hands moved quickly, ringing up chips, counting coins, bagging groceries, while her eyes flicked between customers and a dog-eared business magazine she kept hidden under the register. The cover, featuring a bold black woman CEO, was her daily reminder. She wanted more. Every evening, after locking up the store, Ayana would retreat to her room upstairs. Her desk was cluttered with homework, receipts from the store, and a vision board. Pinned to it were cutouts of glass office buildings, phrases like, "Own it," and one image she cherished most, a photo of 50 Cent in a suit, standing outside the headquarters of his vitamin water company. "He made it out," she'd whisper. "Why not me?" Ayana's dreams weren't naive. She knew what she was up against. Her father had left when she was 9, her mom had passed from heart failure just a year later, and her grandmother, Miss Edna, was her rockin' provider. Together, they made ends meet by running the store, which barely broke even. Still, Ayana saved every dollar she could. Not for clothes, not for parties, for her future. At school, she was different. While her classmates gossiped and danced on TikTok, Ayana studied market trends, read startup blogs, and took free business courses online. She even pitched a mock company during a school project, a haircare brand for girls in underserved communities. Her teacher said it was impressive. Ayana said, "It's just the beginning." But it wasn't all ambition and strategy. Ayana felt the weight of expectations, the loneliness of being misunderstood. Her best friend Jada once told her, "Girl, you think too big." It stung, but it also motivated her. "Someone has to," Ayana replied. "Why not me?" One rainy afternoon, while stacking shelves in the store, Ayana overheard two men talking about an upcoming business expo downtown. "It's for grown folk," one said. "CEO-level energy." Ayana's ears perked. She Googled it later, and found out it was free and open to the public. She circled the date on her calendar in red. When the day came, Ayana lied to her grandma, saying she had a school field trip. She wore her only blazer, ironed her khakis, and took the long train ride downtown with nothing but a notebook and a dream. The expo was overwhelming, bright lights, glass walls, people in designer suits. But she walked in like she belonged. Bounced between panels, listened to entrepreneurs talk about failures and breakthroughs, and scribbled notes feverishly. No one noticed the teenager in the back row, but Ayana soaked up every word. Then, while wandering the lobby, she saw a flyer taped to a pillar. Special appearance, 50 Cent. Fireside chat at 4 p.m. Her heart skipped. She checked the time. 3:51. Ayana rushed toward the auditorium, bumping into a security guard on the way. "Slow down," he barked, eyeing her badge. "You registered?" She nodded confidently. "Yes, sir." Her voice didn't waver, even though her hands trembled. She slipped inside just as the crowd began to settle. Rows of people filled the space. Investors, students, professionals. Ayana found a spot near the back, eyes wide with anticipation. Then he walked in. Curtis, 50 Cent Jackson. Dressed in a tailored black suit, no chains, no entourage, just presence. The crowd erupted in applause. Ayana couldn't believe it. The man who turned his music career into a business empire was right there, just a few feet away. He sat down opposite the host, a well-known venture capitalist, and the chat began. They spoke about grit, about growing up in Queens, about turning obstacles into leverage. "People think success is luck," 50 said, "but it's mostly preparation, meeting opportunity, and not quitting when it doesn't come easy." Ayana scribbled furiously, trying to catch every line. Then, toward the end, came the moment that changed everything. The host opened the floor for questions. Hands shot up. Ayana hesitated. Her stomach flipped. But something pushed her. She stood. "You," the moderator said, pointing at her. A young lady in the back. Ayana cleared her throat. "Mr. Jackson," she began, "I'm 15. I want to be a CEO. But people say I'm dreaming too big. Did you ever feel like your dream was too much?" The room quieted. 50 Cent leaned forward. He squinted, then smiled. "What's your name?" "Ayana," she said. He nodded. "Ayana, let me tell you something. The size of your dream intimidates people who gave up on theirs. Keep dreaming. Keep planning. But most of all, start doing. You don't need permission to begin. The crowd snapped. Ayana felt her knees go weak, but she stood tall. "Thank you," she said, voice cracking. 50 added one last line, locking eyes with her. "And don't let broke mindsets talk you out of building wealth." The room erupted again. People turned toward Ayana, some smiling, others nodding. After the session, a few people approached her. One woman offered her a card. "Internship opportunity, if you're serious." Ayana's hands shook as she took it. She stepped out into the fading afternoon light, stunned. The city skyline shimmered in front of her. For the first time, her dream didn't feel distant. It felt like it had just begun. She didn't take the train home right away. She walked for blocks, her notebook clutched tightly. The wind bit her cheeks, but she barely noticed. All she could hear was that voice in her head. "You don't need permission to begin." The internship offer Ayana received turned out to be at a small black-owned marketing firm in Bronzeville. The woman who gave her the card, Dana Ricks, was one of the senior strategists, and after a brief interview, mostly informal, she welcomed Ayana to join as a summer intern. It was unpaid, but the experience was priceless. Ayana split her weeks between the bodega and the office. Mornings were for stocking shelves, labeling cans, and helping her grandmother. Afternoons were for business meetings, client proposals, and shadowing the team. She soaked up the language of branding, sales funnels, and client retention. At home, she Googled unfamiliar terms late into the night. At first, she felt out of place. She didn't own a laptop, so she borrowed an old one from a neighbor. She couldn't afford fancy clothes, so she repurposed her school cardigans. But what she lacked in appearance, she made up for in questions and eagerness. Dana once told her, "You ask better questions than our college interns." Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. One of the firm's designers taught her how to use Canva. A copywriter showed her how to write hooks that convert. Ayana started contributing to small campaigns and eventually designed a flyer that was used in a paid ad for a new client. Her name was listed in the company Slack channel. Ayana came through. She began thinking bigger. What if she launched her own business? Not someday. Now. Inspired by the advice from 50 Cent, she started developing a simple hair care line for girls with textured hair. She named it Rooted Queens. She sketched logos in her notebook and used her internship access to ask about e-commerce and packaging. With Dana's guidance, she sourced sample products from a local supplier and began testing scents with friends and classmates. Some teased her, others loved it. One girl at school offered to buy a bottle before Ayana even had labels ready. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And it was hers. To fund her prototype, she sold candy bars in school, offered tutoring to younger students, and did odd jobs for neighbors. Slowly, the pieces began to form. She built a basic Shopify site using free templates, posted on social media using her phone camera, even landed 10 pre-orders in the first week. Then came a DM from a Chicago-based influencer who saw her pitch video. "I love this. Can I feature it?" Ayana's hands trembled. She replied, "Yes, thank you. Let me send you a sample." That night, she danced in her room, blasting 50 Cent's Hustler's Ambition, the lyrics hitting deeper than ever. Miss Edna found her dancing and asked what was going on. Ayana just grinned and said, I think I'm really doing it." Success didn't come without stress. Orders trickled in, and Ayana scrambled to fulfill them on time. Her room looked like a storage unit. Boxes stacked high, tape stuck to her socks, bottles half-filled as she struggled to keep things organized. Miss Edna tried to help, but Ayana was determined to handle it herself. Meanwhile, her grades started slipping. Late nights mixing product and packing shipments cut into her study time. Her math teacher pulled her aside. "You're brilliant, Ayana. But brilliance doesn't excuse missing deadlines." She nodded, promising to catch up. Inside, she felt the weight pile on. To make matters worse, the influencer who had promised to promote Rooted Queens ghosted her. No review, no post, no explanation. Ayana sent polite follow-ups, but silence met her every time. It stung more than she expected. She had trusted the system, believed the hype. Now she felt duped. In moments like these, she wanted to quit. She wondered if her dream had outgrown her. She missed simpler days, just her and a notebook, not this juggling act of production, homework, and emotional crash landings. One night, she broke down. Tears soaked her pillow. "Maybe I'm not built for this," she whispered. Miss Edna, hearing her sobs, entered quietly and sat beside her. "Baby," she said gently, "you trying to run a marathon at sprint speed. Even flowers take time to bloom." Ayanna sniffled, wiping her eyes. "But what if I fail?" Her grandmother smiled. "Then fail forward, like you always do." That talk gave her breath. The next day, Ayanna emailed Dana and asked for help building a production schedule. She created a spreadsheet for orders, blocked time for schoolwork, and even gave herself one mental health hour per week. No screens, no stress. Just rest. She also started journaling more. Not just business goals, but feelings, fears, doubts. She wrote, "I am not overwhelmed. I am in the middle of becoming." That line stayed with her. Small wins returned. A local radio station gave her a shout-out. A teacher ordered 5 bottles as gifts. Ayanna realized she wasn't just selling a product. She was creating a symbol. Something girls like her could look at and say, "That's mine." She still had a long way to go. But this time she knew. Burnout wouldn't break her. Because she wasn't chasing the spotlight anymore. She was building her own. It started with a TikTok. A short, 30-second video where Ayanna shared her journey, from selling candy bars to launching Rooted Queens. She used trending audio, edited it on her cracked phone, and posted it with the caption, "They said I was dreaming too big, but look at me now." She went to sleep, not thinking much of it. By morning, her notifications were on fire. Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments, young girls tagged their friends, women wrote paragraphs. "I wish I had this confidence at 15. My daughter needs to see this. Sis, you're going places." Ayanna blinked at the numbers, not fully believing what she saw. Within 2 days, she had over 50,000 new followers. Sales exploded. She ran out of product. Her inbox was a flood of brand inquiries, media outlets, and even a DM from a daytime talk show producer. She screamed so loud Miss Edna thought something was wrong. "I think I'm going on TV," she shouted. It was surreal. The girl who once hid behind the register now had companies asking to collaborate. She refused most of them, especially the ones that didn't feel authentic. "I'm not just a cute face for your campaign," she told one rep. "I'm building an empire." A school assembly was arranged in her honor. Her principal handed her a plaque. She gave a speech in front of the entire student body. "This isn't just about me," she said, voice steady. "It's about every girl who's ever been told to shrink their vision. Don't." Still, she stayed grounded. She answered customer emails herself. She replied to DMs from young girls asking how to start a business. She hosted free Zoom workshops, calling it CEO Club for teens. No PowerPoint. Just her, raw and real. One afternoon, Dana called her. "You've got a feature coming in Essence magazine," she said. "They're doing a spotlight on Gen Z entrepreneurs." Ayanna laughed out loud. "Me? Essence? That's my grandma's favorite magazine." Miss Edna cried when she heard. But Ayanna didn't let the fame get to her head. She knew this was just the start. "I'm still learning," she wrote in a post. "Still stumbling, still growing. But every step is proof that I belong here." And, in a quiet moment, late at night, she reread her journal entry. "I am not overwhelmed. I am in the middle of becoming." This time, she underlined it. One cold December morning, Ayanna received an email that made her heart stop. The subject line read, "Special invite, 50-cent mentorship roundtable." She clicked, hands trembling. It was a private event. Only 10 young entrepreneurs selected from across the country. She'd been nominated through her viral story. The event was in New York. Ayanna had never flown before. Miss Edna helped her pack, both of them giggling like kids. "Get ready, baby," she said. "You're about to talk to the man who told you to start." Ayanna smiled. Now I can thank him. The round table was held in a high-rise overlooking Manhattan. When Ayanna arrived, nerves flooded her chest. But as soon as she saw other young founders, each with their own hustle, she felt at ease. This was family. This was her tribe. Docent entered with the same presence as before. But this time, he stopped when he saw Ayanna. "You made it," he said, pointing. "You're that girl from Chicago, right?" Ayanna nodded, stunned. "You changed my life," she whispered. "Nah," he replied. "You changed your own." They talked business, distribution, branding, scalability. But they also talked life, resilience, betrayal, pressure. Ayanna asked about trusting partners. 50 said, "Believe the energy, not just the pitch." She took note. Every word was gold. At the end of the session, he pulled her aside. "Keep your hands in the dirt," he said. "Stay close to your roots. That's how you grow tall without tipping over." Ayanna repeated the line to herself over and over. It would become her mantra. She took a picture with him, posted it with a caption that read, "From asking a question in the back row to being invited to the table, never shrink your dream." The post broke 100,000 likes. Back home, she framed that photo. It hung right above her workspace, next to the Rooted Queens logo. It wasn't just a memory. It was proof that full circles do happen, if you keep moving forward. And Ayanna? She was just getting started. Ayanna turned 16 and filed her first LLC. Rooted Queens became official. She celebrated with cake, balloons, and a live stream with her followers. "This is for every girl who feels too young, too broke, or too different," she said. "This proves you don't need $1 million to start. Just belief." She used her profits not to flex but to expand. She hired 2 part-time helpers, girls from her school. One did packaging, the other managed social media. "We don't gatekeep success around here," she told them. "We lift each other." Ayanna started organizing local pop-up shops. She invited other teen-owned businesses, graphic designers, bakers, jewelry makers. The events were packed. News, crews showed up. Parents cried, kids smiled. "It's like Black Girl Magic came to life," someone said. With Dana's help, Ayanna applied for a youth grant to open a permanent space. She won. The city awarded her $10,000 to develop a small storefront and workshop space. She called it the Queen's Lab, a mix of retail and mentorship hub. The lease was tiny, the impact massive. Every Saturday, Ayanna ran sessions teaching other girls how to start side hustles. She shared what she knew, how to use Canva, how to price products, how to not let fear stop you. One girl said, "You're like our big sister." Ayanna smiled. "I'm just your mirror." Still, challenges came. Shipments were delayed. Some customers complained. Her bank account dipped low after a mistake in ordering inventory. But she took it all in stride. "Every CEO has bad days," she wrote on her blog. "That doesn't mean you quit. It means you adjust." More recognition followed. Ayanna was featured in Teen Vogue, gave a TEDx talk at her school, and was invited to speak at a youth summit. But she never forgot her roots. "Before all this," she said, "I was just the girl behind the bodega counter with a dream. And now?" She was the girl building doors where there had once only been walls. The Queen's Lab became a second home for many. Girls came not just to learn business, but to feel seen. They talked about anxiety, family struggles, social pressure. Ayanna made space for it all. "This isn't just about money," she often said. "It's about healing, about ownership." She launched a mental health campaign called You Good Sis, selling self-care kits and using the profits to fund therapy for teen girls in need. It was personal. Ayanna had struggled silently for years. Now she wanted others to know they weren't alone. She partnered with local nonprofits, created a quarterly newsletter, and hosted vision board nights, where girls mapped out not just businesses, but lives. One night, a girl named Lexi hugged her and said, "You made me believe I matter." Ayanna cried in the bathroom afterward. Success didn't make her immune to doubt. She still wrestled with imposter syndrome, still feared messing up. But now she had tools, people, practices, perspective. She leaned on her community, on Miss Edna, on faith. On the 2-year anniversary of Rooted Queens, Ayana threw a block party. Food trucks, DJs, guest speakers. She gave away 100 free kits to girls who registered. The mayor sent a letter of congratulations. 50 Cent reposted her flyer. "Keep building, young queen," he wrote. That night, under string lights and stars, Ayana stood on a makeshift stage. "I'm not a millionaire," she said, "but I'm rich in purpose, and that's more than I ever dreamed." The crowd cheered. Miss Edna clapped loudest of all, and as music filled the night, Ayana closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning." Ayana's story inspired millions, but for her the most important impact was local. Girls started businesses. Teachers used her story in classrooms. Parents started believing in their kids again. She had sparked something real, something lasting. She wrote a book, Young CEO: How I Built My Dream, before I turned 18. It wasn't just about her journey. It was a guide, a manifesto, a love letter to every dreamer who didn't know where to begin. It became a bestseller in the youth entrepreneurship category. She began working with policymakers, pushing for business education in public schools. "We teach algebra, but not how to write an invoice," she argued. Change was slow, but Ayana had learned. Pressure makes diamonds. At 17, she was named one of Forbes 30 under 30. The write-up said, "Ayana Reid is not just building a brand, she's building a blueprint." She read it twice, smiling through tears. Through it all, she kept her journal. The final entry read, "They told me I was too young, too ambitious, too bold." And maybe I was. But bold built bridges, and now other girls are crossing them. One evening, she sat beside Miss Edna on the porch. "You proud of me?" she asked softly. Her grandma squeezed her hand. "I was proud the day you said your dream out loud. The rest? That's just the fruit." Ayana looked out at the sunset, full of fire. Just like her. Because once upon a time, she asked a question in a crowded room, and the world has been answering ever since.